Hey everyone, welcome to the Acrobatic Arts Podcast. I'm Loren, and I will be interviewing some of the top leaders and innovators from the dance and acrobatic industry. If you are a teacher, performer, student, or a lifelong learner like myself, you are sure to find these episodes intriguing and full of inspiration. Acrobatic Arts is passionate about providing current and relevant information for everyone. So please, sit back and enjoy as we share our passion with you and the world. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a true leader in the world of dance competitions, Sarah Reis. As a staff member of Acrobatic Arts, Sarah knows just how valuable competition can be for dancers at every level. In this episode, she'll be sharing insights on how studios can seamlessly integrate competitions into their yearly training schedules, boosting technique and building confidence. Sarah, welcome to the Acrobatic Arts Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
To start, could you share a bit about your journey from gymnastics and dance to becoming a multifaceted professional in the dance and competition world?
Yeah, so I grew up doing both dance and gymnastics, and I think I just got lucky because gym was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays, and dance was like Monday, but just for a couple hours, then on the other days. And I was able to do 10 to 15 hours of each discipline, and it kind of worked out to full time. And I feel like really grateful for that because both of those activities brought me so much joy and brought a lot to my life. And it really set me up to have a depth of knowledge in my acro teaching, which is what I got into after high school. So I feel very grateful for that, particularly because before the arrival of acrobatic arts and these other acro syllabuses that exist, it was sort of just people who came from gymnastics, to be honest, or who had done acro growing up. And so I had that knowledge with me early on, and I was already teaching acro, full time many, many years ago before other people were, before it exploded. So that was kind of neat. And then after high school, I started teaching acro, and I was like, yes, this is for me. But what I found was I didn't really understand how to progress this beyond my current circumstances or where I was going to go with it. So I started going to school, and I just started studying anything that I could. And what I realized was that there's 4 core components to really the dance teaching profession, which I would call the physical knowledge, the mental knowledge, education, and artistic development. So what I mean by that is like physical stuff is like injury risk reduction and skill acquisition and strength and flexibility science. And mental knowledge would be like performance psychology, mindset, confidence, maybe even counseling, listening skills, evaluation, communication, that type of thing. And then education is like pedagogy, teaching, classroom management, student management, season planning. And artistic development is like Laban movement analysis, body shape, effort space, improvisation, choreographic study. And so there's really 4 quadrants here that tie back to dance teaching. And I became very interested in studying in all of these areas. And so I went off and I did that. And I spent 20 years actually in university. And I ended up getting a bachelor's degree in all 4 of these quadrants. And I think that's what shaped me into the curious mind that I have now, is that I really strongly believe that dance touches all 4 of these areas so deeply. And I think that I've kind of shaped my career and done what I've done because of that.
And you're also involved in the competitive world of dance. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did with all the knowledge that you had?
Yeah, you know what? I got started in the competition world because I knew I didn't want to open a studio. That's how that happened. I was getting involved in like rehabilitation and movement sciences, and I was still working with acro dancers, but helping with conditioning and that kind of stuff and injury rehab. And I was, dabbling in all these things, and a lot of people I knew owned studios, and I was like, I don't think that's for me. So I just started a competition, and the idea was that it was going to be, nutrition, injury prevention, and like more of a holistic convention kind of program. And then somewhere along the way, it just became more of a competition. But the original vision was to bring in like injury prevention and semi lectures and sort of a dance education at the core type of model. And then it became a competition, and then years and years and years later, I now have many competitions, but that was how that started. It was sort of just like, I don't think I want to own a studio. What else could I do?
You're also deeply involved with acrobatic arts. How has your role as a course conductor and examiner influenced your perspective on dance education and performance?
Yeah, so I love science. I love when I can deeply understand something. I love when there's a correct answer, and I love to ask why questions. So, what acrobatic arts brought to me was that it was the first time that I felt in my teaching journey that my why questions were welcomed, because in my teaching career to that point, I was sort of like nerding out, asking all these why questions. And a lot of my dance teaching friends were like, okay, cool, Sarah, no one cares, you know? And so I would keep studying in these different fields, and I just like hadn't really found a tribe of, people that were really interested in like, no, why do we do that way? And why does that connect better? And is there a better way? And so when I kind of stumbled into the acrobatic arts courses, I definitely showed up with my why questions. And I think that the company probably progressed because of the amount of why questions I had for y'all. And I definitely grew myself as an individual teacher. And I can think back like early on, I was teaching my side aerials a certain way. And then going through the acrobatic arts program, I was kind of like convinced to teach them a different way. And that was through like deep, deep analysis of the why. I actually think I was on a course with you. You were my M2 teacher when I took it as a student. And it really made a lasting impression on me because it was that course that you convinced me to switch something that I had been doing for 20 years another way. And you convinced me, but not through like trying to influence me, but by how you taught it and how deeply you explained the why. And that's a really beautiful thing. And so I think what I love about acrobatic arts the most is that I have been welcomed as I am with my why questions. I have grown because of it. And I think I bring a lot of why questions to the organization, and collectively we all kind of grow together because of that.
I remember that course. And yes, your why questions are always welcome. Now, given your extensive knowledge of acro dance, how do you see the skills and discipline from acrobatics influencing dancers when they step onto the competition stage?
I don't know if you agree, but I personally feel that dancers are stronger now than ever before. And I think what's really cool is that acro requires a lot of strength to be able to progress to do more difficult skills. So with that, the dancers are naturally becoming more hungry for strength, and there's more motivation for them to strengthen before, whereas they might have, skipped out on conditioning because they felt they were strong enough to be able to kind of do the things that they wanted to do. I'm definitely seeing dancers like layering in their conditioning a lot more than they did before, which is super amazing because it's pushing the limits of what human performance can do in dance. And I think that having dance and having the acrobatic arts syllabus, which has the component of strength, and it's got very clear progressions within the ability to, layer that strength, is really going to make dancers have injury risk reduction within their training. It's going to make them stronger, and it's making them want to be stronger, which is ultimately the thing that I think is really cool here.
Running a dance competition gives you quite a unique perspective. What are some of the less obvious elements that go into organizing these events that dancers and their families might not see?
When I got into this, there's a lot I didn't know, and of course, as you go through your journey, you learn to understand things that you hadn't thought of before. One of the big things that I think people don't see in the competition from the end user perspective is they don't just have a real good idea of what actually goes on behind the scenes to make these things happen. one notable thing is like when you show up to competitions, what do you see? Well, you see like the front desk person or a couple front desk people, and then you see maybe the MC on stage. But you've got, front desk people, you've got backstage manager, you've got a backstage runner, you've got media support staff, you've got a photographer, a videographer, you got tabulators, lighting, audio, head technician. And then you've got your master of ceremonies, you've got ushers, you got event managers, you got 3 judges, plus you've got these admin people working off site on the scheduling. And so you're looking at like 15 people every hour. And so like the wages of this is like really quite astronomical. But when people come in, it looks like there's only 2 people working. And that's because everyone working is sort of working at their stations behind the scenes, running some division of what's happening. And so with that, you've got, 10 plus hotel rooms for the duration of the event. You've got catering, like think of like a wedding. Dance competitions are running like a small wedding every day. And so you can imagine what's involved. And then you've got these, software and photo video and the warehousing and shipping and receiving and all these prizes and organizing that. And it takes really a year, to prepare for these things. And sometimes there can be something that comes up that you can't predict, like maybe a power outage. And then let's say there's a 3-hour power outage, and now you've got all this staff working for that whole time. And, you're running into overtime. And like, there's all these things that are really complex and hard to plan and hard to predict because they're variable. And so there's a lot that goes into it that involves sort of a lot of risk, a lot of unknown. And I do think when you walk into it, it just seems like, oh, there's like 2 people here and a master of ceremonies, and like that's sort of it. But it's really not the case. And there's really a lot of risk and expense that goes into it. So I know when I talk to my family, I think they think I'm running like children's birthday parties. Like I actually think that's what they think we're doing, but it's not. Like there's a lot that goes into this that's really just not seen.
And I think maybe because of everything that you mentioned, competitions often can have a mixed reputation. From your experience, what do you think are the key benefits that they offer dancers and studios, especially in terms of growth and development?
Yeah, definitely the video adjudication is key for growth and development. It's such a powerful learning tool. You can slow it down, you can watch it slow motion, you can really see the detail and really look deeply at your alignment and your technique. I think one thing that gets underutilized is not returning to those video adjudications later and revisiting them for like extended long-term growth over time. So dance teachers, as you're listening to this, definitely like mark that down as something you want to do going forward, is don't just watch it once and then chuck it. Like hang on to it and revisit again later in the season and track that growth over the long term. I do think that dance competitions offer an environment where everyone grows together. Like when I'm teaching acro, you ever notice like one dancer gets their side aerial, and then in that same lesson, 3 or 4 other dancers get it? That's always kind of how it goes. And that's because we rise together. So dance competition is now bringing this performance opportunity to a stage where you can be inspired by other people, where you can see new types of dance, where you can see new skills, where you can see new things, and you're part of this movement and this experience that is created at these events. And I do think that they're really inspiring in the sense that you get to see things that you didn't see that exist just in the walls of your own studio. And through that, we rise together, which I think is really cool.
Sarah, with your background in education, how do you think studios can balance the demands of competition while still providing a comprehensive dance education?
Yeah, the cool thing about acrobatic arts, as well as many other syllabus organization, it's a great way to measure development. And there's a reason why we have curriculum in the education system. And there's a reason why acrobatic arts has gone on to be the global leader in acro dance education. When you can maintain curriculum work to make sure that you are making forward progress at intervals that make sense, that are developmentally appropriate, and then also add in open classes into your weekly training so that you're getting, not you're getting opportunities that aren't so structured. And then you have your choreography layered in. When you combine those 3 factors, you're going to make well-rounded dancers that are still learning new things in their open classes, and they're still having fun and introducing new concepts. And then you're getting structured curriculum in whatever styles that might be, where you know you have specific benchmarks that you're looking to hit, and you're able to track it in a really objective, measurable way. And then you have your choreography classes as well, where you're learning set routines, which is what makes employable dancers, because they need to be able to learn choreography and have it look a certain kind of way. And those three things combined into the training programs really help balance the demands of competition, while still providing great technique and, a comprehensive dance education.
We know that the dance world is always evolving. How do you envision the future of dance competitions, and what changes do you think could enhance the experience for participants?
That's a really cool question. I think the arrival of AI is kind of this unknown, like what's that going to bring, where I'm really curious to see what it brings. But the biggest change that I know for sure in the recent area of sort of competition is the free photo video movement. And with that, there's been a arrival of these dance competition apps, which we didn't see before. And that is really opening up technology, and there's a lot more possibility of what that can lead to. We're seeing certain competitions offer like a bird's eye view on their adjudications for you to like really get a detailed look at your formation work. We're seeing more tech supporting like cooler experiences, like audience voting at the competitions. We've got sort of like instant download replays now, instant voice to text script for your adjudications. I think you're going to see sort of just like tech improvements across the board all around that are going to enhance the audience experience in ways that just weren't possible before the arrival of apps. I don't really know what AI is going to bring to dance competitions, but I'm sure that it will affect it in some way. And I look forward to seeing, hopefully, I look forward to seeing what that might look like too.
And for new studios entering the competition scene, what strategies would you suggest for creating a positive and enriching environment for their dancers?
I think the number one thing is that studios that are brand new to competition should really shop around and seek out a competition that's going to provide them with the right level of opportunity for their dancers. There are many ways that competitions can really set up their leveling structures. So you might see it separated by age, it might be separated by hours of training, by years of experience, by the actual skills that are executed. And so studios want to find one that's like a good fit and it aligns with, their philosophy on what they're looking for. Not every studio is going to be a good fit for every competition. And, caution that, the competition might lead you to believe it is. So you need to like ask your questions, take time, do your research, find the right fit. There's so many incredible options out there. And just because you go somewhere and you didn't have maybe a great experience, that doesn't mean that competition's not right for the studio. It just might not have been the right event for your studio. And then the next thing, like once you've found, the experiences that align with, the levels and the values that you're looking for out of these events, lean into the process, not the outcome. What did we learn? How did we feel? What did we learn from how we felt? Where are we going next? How can we measure our progress objectively, even though that dance has such a subjective undertone? Like, how can we look at certain things objectively and really see how we can improve in certain areas, and allow ourselves to not get so caught up in the whole competition, like, it can be kind of crazy at times, like not to get so caught up in it and just remember that it's just dance. We're here to have fun. We're here to explore, the high of being on stage. We're here to make friendships. We're here to like enjoy life, to build people up, to rise together and have a good time, and to not get so obsessed with outcomes and so obsessed with taking things too seriously, because then it just becomes stressful and that's not really fun for anyone. I do see a lot of dance teachers that just take things so seriously that they become stressed. And I'm like, this is not fun, So just keeping perspective on that, and remembering like why we're doing this in the first, why. It's always back to the why questions. Why are we doing this in the first place? and making sure that we kind of understand our values and what we're looking for out of these experiences.
Sarah, before we wrap up, you've given us so much wonderful information and a great perspective on dance competitions. But before we wrap up, what's on your horizon? What are you doing? What's next in your journey?
Well, I've been the last 2 years I've been studying counseling, which was never on my radar of things I intended to do with my life during my lifetime. And during the pandemic, I just noticed that like my mental health wasn't that great because of a lot of stuff that I was going through. And I noticed that people around me, it wasn't that great. And I noticed that everyone was coming to me. And so there was this thing where I'm like, okay, I think that there's something here that I haven't really tapped into, because there's a sign if, people are coming to you as someone to talk out their things with, that you should kind of listen to the signs that the world gives you. So I've just finished my training, the 2 years of that. And so I'm now exploring ways that I can take that back into the dance education realm. And so I did my specialization in 2S plus LGBTQ populations. And I'm looking to like help counsel, those in dance that might be struggling with different things, but like within the dance industry. And that's like a whole new, new thing for me, which is really exciting. It's really nice to like get more training and then start a new path forward while still holding on to, teaching acro and teaching kids. And so I'm excited for that. And we've got a whole bunch of like new content that's going to be coming out, and we're just going to see where the new wave takes me.
Sarah, as always, it's such a pleasure talking to you, learning about your whys and discussing them at length. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
I appreciate you having me, as always.
Whether you're a studio owner, a teacher, or a dancer yourself, remember that competition can be a powerful tool to build confidence, refine technique, and connect with the wider dance community. If you're looking to elevate your training and take your skills to the next level, head to acrobaticarts.com and find a course that's perfect for you. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.